And welcome back to TrapCG. This tutorial is for 3D Studio Max and it's Intro to Biped. So real quick, this is the biped structure. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. Actually, I'm just going to come up here, reset. No, yes. Alright, so the biped is found under the Create panel, which if you're using an older version of Max, would be an arrow tool here. All the way over to Systems and Biped. And in your front viewport, just click and drag. And voila, there's the biped structure. Okay, biped. Well, what biped is, it is a pre-built skeleton structure for animation. As you notice here, when I click on body parts and move them around, it actually is linked together. And if I click on multiple body parts, and let's say I hit E for rotate, you get a nice rotational value. So that's pretty much what it is, a pre-built structure for animation. Now, with biped, the modify panel does not affect the actual structure of the biped. So we have to go to Motion panel for that. And when you start setting up your biped, which the next tutorial will be actually building or setting up a biped within a particular character, you're going to be wanting to use figure mode. You activate this mode anytime you actually want to adjust the setup or the structure of the character. So first I would activate figure mode, and then I would move the character into position. So let's say I need him on 0, 0, 0. Now mind you, clicking the pelvis will not move the character left, right, up, or down. You actually, I'm going to Alt X, you have to click on this icon in here, which is biped 01, or like I call it, the ovaries of the biped. Now I can sit there and set the X, Y, Z to 0, 0. I don't need Z to 0, but the X and Y to 0, 0. So now I know he's in the center of the plane or the environment. Now if I want to start adding or playing with the structure, I just have to go to the structure tab here, and I can increase neck links, spine links, decrease them if I wish. You have fingers, finger links. So you have lots of options in here, and I'm not going to go through them all, and they're pretty self-explanatory. Things like ponytails, you create them and then you can click on it, the base ponytail, and you can move them around. Let me open that back up, drop it down. You can also, pretty much any one of the base structures except for the legs, but really like the spine and the arms and the head, the base component, you can move it around. So if you want your character to have slightly offset body, or maybe neck, or shoulders. You can also scale. Unlike Bones, you can scale the biped option. Now again, there's that war between biped and Bones. Both tools are very useful, both tools are necessary. Learn them both, especially as an animator. Game industry tends to use biped quite often, so I would definitely advise those of you who are going to go in the game industry to learn biped. It does animate a little bit different than Bones, but it's still a good pre-built structure for animation. What else? That's primarily it. Scaling does not affect any type of animation constraint on the character. Each piece can be modified. Let's go back to this real quick. You have 4 feet option, which will turn the hands into feet. So if you've got a quadruped, 4-legged character instead of a 2-leg, 2-hand character, you'd activate the 4 feet option. You have twist links, which, let's activate it and do forearm twist. Creates these boxes in the forearms. Hit E on the keyboard. You'll notice it creates a nice twist series of bones for skinning. You also have props that you can activate. The height of the character is here, so if the character is too tall or too short, this is where you would adjust it. You have ankle attached. That's pretty much where the ankles are going to be attached at. That's primarily it. If I go to Modify panel and let's say I click on the head, I can actually convert it to an editable poly, and I can start playing around with the structure just like any other editable poly setup. F4 on the keyboard show wireframe. So I can come through and modify this, add polygons, vertices, segments, anything I want. I'm just demonstrating that it can be modified for whatever reason that you may need to modify the biped structure for. There's also a really neat feature in Max, and this works in multiple ways, but for the biped, let's say I'm going to go ahead and create a create panel, a sphere real quick. I'm going to do this in my top viewport. No, I'll do it in my front viewport. Okay. And it's probably too big, so let me radius down. Something like that. I'm creating another head. Editable poly. Come in here, click a couple for the eyes. Z on the keyboard. For zoom extents, extrude. Go the opposite direction, click OK. Maybe move them up. And do, just going to grab the tip for the nose. And then grab some down here for the smiley face. Okay, so I have this really quick structure. Head, I could do a lot with it, but that's all I'm going to do for now. And I want to replace the biped head with this head, and this comes in handy like if you're going to create, you want to set up a biped for like a velociraptor structure or a T-Rex or some kind of structure that's definitely not human form. Well, you could replace each one of these components with a actual model. Let me go ahead and affect pivot point, move it down to the base of the head. Maybe back a little bit. So I'm going to click on the head, or actually what I start with is I'm going to click on this head, open up track view, and I'm going to scroll down through the list, object properties, and all I need is this object. I'm going to right click and say copy, click on the biped head, open up the biped head structure, back to object, right click, paste. It's going to ask me copy or instance, that's up to you. I'm going to say copy for now. Okay, sometimes this will happen where it becomes way bigger than the, and actually offset than the actual character. That's not a problem, just adjust it. Let me close this out. Go to element, click on the whole thing, hit scale on the keyboard, scale the head down. And E on the keyboard for rotate, rotate, Z on the keyboard. So you can set this up to be appropriate. Then to adjust its position, you can move this around, or you can go to the, no, let's just move around the, for this particular setup, place this where I need it. Now sometimes it will perfectly match over, it always varies. Move this forward. So there you go. So now I have the head replaced. It acts just like the normal biped head, but with my own structure head. Pretty cool stuff. I pretty much think that's it for the intro to biped. The biggest thing is to remember is you can scale. Going to the biped structure mode, you have to be in this mode to change the structure of the biped. And then once you're done, when you're happy with the way it's set up, turn it off. Because you cannot animate in that mode. You have to be in no mode at all, actually, for animation. For those of you who want to dive in real quick to animation with this character, keep in mind that auto key or set key does not work. As you notice, I'm clicking, nothing happens. You actually have to open up the key info pad and use this set key option. Then it's going to set a key. So, but auto key does work, but it doesn't set an initial key state. So you have to set it, and then you can go in and move it. There you go. Now it's got these three different types of key options. Each one is very useful and helpful. Let's say right now I grab the biped 01 and I move the character up and down. Now his feet are going through the floor, and that's a bit troublesome. Well, what I could do, and let's say I want the character to do squats. I can select both the feet and say set planted key. And what this is going to do, and this only works for the feet and hands, is that it's going to set up this character to keep the feet locked into their position. So now, no matter what I do with the biped, they stay locked. I mean, obviously the biped's legs don't stretch, so the feet are going to follow up, but When it comes down, they don't pass through the floor. Same thing with the hands. If I want to set up the hands to maybe stay in position, I'm going to go ahead and set this back up. Okay, so I'm going to go to the hands. I don't need this. Move it out of the way. And use the locked key again. And then grab the biped 01 and move it up and down. See? Keeps the hands locked in a position. So if I start animating this structure, oops, let's go ahead and delete that key I created for the hand. Come on, there we go. Biped 01, down. Just copy these series of keys. So now I created a quick animation of this character moving. Okay, so, but that's neither here or there particular with this tutorial, excuse me. I just wanted to show you guys the intro setup, where it's found, and the fact that you can modify the pieces, even change them in and out. So I'm going to make a tutorial 2 for actually setting up biped to match a character, and then and the shortcut keys and stuff for that, or the shortcut options, so you don't have to do one side then the other. And that's primarily it. I will catch you guys for the next tutorial.